Hello, Abnormal Investigations. We've got a guest tonight. Vicki is going to share one of her or some of her paranormal encounters. I look forward to hearing them. These are always some of the scariest to me. For some reason, these always seem to, I don't know, get more of a reaction out of me than a cryptid for some reason. Maybe it's because you can't always see what's attacking you or what's moving. It's the element of the unknown, maybe. But these are always scary to me. I want to thank Vicki for coming on and everything. And Vicki, if you would like, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into your encounter.
Okay, hi Mike and Jess.
Hello.
My name is Vicki, and I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio, which is where this all takes place at. Hi, how are you?
Oh, there is a lag.
Okay?
It's okay. Go on.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a lag.
Okay.
Okay, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. But anyhow, my name is Vicki. Originally I'm from Dayton, Ohio, which is where all this took place at. I am a grandma and a newly great grandma, and that's pretty much me for right now.
So you had a paranormal encounter in the home that you lived in, right?
Oh, yes. This was in the historical district of Dayton, on Huffman Avenue. My parents bought this creepy old 23-room Victorian. Now, when I say that, it was not a mansion. It was an old row house is what it was. In the front part of the house, it was like for a family. And I'm just guessing what was in the back part of the house would have been servants' quarters, perhaps.
Okay.
That's how it was, like separated through the middle. The house was. But the very first night that we had moved there, we started having activity, and it started out slowly, but over time got worse to the point that we had no choice to move within 6 months of buying the place. The first night that we moved there, now my dad, he would always work out of town or out of state, so a lot of the time he'd be gone for a week at least, up to weeks at a time. So that left me and my mom, my older brother who was in the 8th grade at the time, and then my baby brother who was probably under a year old. But the first night that we had moved there, we hadn't put our beds up yet. So my mom put a mattress in the living room floor for us kids to sleep on, and she was on the couch. She had built a fire in the fireplace, and we were laying there getting ready to doze off when all of a sudden I hear my brother say, "Mom, this house is haunted." And I look up at the ceiling, and the chandelier was swinging in one direction. And then when she said, "Tim, shut up, you're scaring the kids," it stopped and started swinging in the opposite direction. So anytime he would say something to her, it would swing in one direction and it would stop, and then swing in the opposite direction when she would answer. Well, that didn't seem like, a great big deal, but at that time we knew something's weird around here. And then things continued to get worse. We, got our beds up and started sleeping upstairs. And then that's when the stomping up and down the steps started. Sounded like he may have been wearing work boots or cowboy boots, but something with a hard sole, because it was very loud. And if my dad was home at night, he would yell, "You cut that out. I got to get up in the morning and go to work," and you don't. And it would stop. But then as soon as we went to sleep, it would start all over again. We had instances where the piano would play and nobody was there. There was a time when we were all sitting in the living room and we had the fire going in the fireplace. And just like you flip a light switch, the entire wall was engulfed in flames. Oh, so wow. My mom grabbed my baby brother and my older brother, and they ran out the front door. Well, I panicked and I dove under the piano, and I couldn't move. I was frozen, and I could hear him yelling for me to run for the door, but I could not move. So my mom ran in and grabbed me by my arm, drug me out of the house. And then when we got out, it went out like somebody switched off a light switch again, just like your light would go out. There wasn't a burn spot nowhere. There was no smoke anywhere. And then it went on getting so bad that we had, one night we had an old clawfoot bathtub in the upstairs bathroom, and I was taking my bath. I had school the next morning, and I put my baby brother in the bathtub with me. And you know how there's a little bit of room underneath a clawfoot tub?
Right.
Well, I kept hearing this banging underneath the tub, like somebody was taking their fist and banging on the bottom of it. I think so many things had happened at this point. I decided I was going to ignore it. So I kept, doing our bath, and then all of a sudden I heard this really loud bang come from my bedroom. And that's when I jumped out, grabbed the baby, threw a towel around me, and ran downstairs. And my mom's trying to convince me, I know you didn't get clean, get up there and get in that bathtub. And I said, you can't make me get up there in that bathroom. And then she heard it. It just sounded like my dresser had been thrown over. So her and my dad and my brother go running upstairs, and there wasn't a thing out of place. Well, we decided we're going to start sleeping all together in a bedroom downstairs. And we were sleeping in bunk beds. But my brother, and he had a friend that lived with us, they were pretty brave. They went back and had one of their own quarters to sleep in. And I remember this thing would start making noise, and I don't know what it was about my mom that she thought if we just laid there and pretended to be asleep that it couldn't see us or it was going to go away.
Right.
But the dog would stick its head out from underneath the bed and growl, and her hair would stand up. And it was just a really scary thing. And then to the point that we thought, well, maybe if we move to the back of the house in one of the quarters, it will leave us alone. Well, by this time, I was getting ready to turn about 9, and my parents had a surprise birthday party for me. And we held that in the front of the house. When everybody left, we cleaned up and to the back of the house. I had school the next morning, and I got to thinking, I knew this thing could read your thoughts and act on your biggest fears. I could tell when something was about to happen or when he was in the same room because the air would change. It was staticky and thick. And if something did happen and you started to run, I couldn't move. It was like caught in a giant wet spider web. I could just barely move. If I went to scream, a scream wouldn't come out of my mouth. It was just horrible. But anyway, I loved these earrings that I got for my birthday. When I went to bed that night, I'm thinking, this guy thing, whatever it is, if I go to sleep with these earrings in my ears, he's going to rip them ears when I go to sleep, because he had started getting physical at this time and choked my grandma, choked my mom, and so I decided it would be better to just take him out and put him in the drawer next to me, and then if he steals them, it's better than having them ripped out of my ears. So next morning comes around, my mom comes in to wake me up for school. And the first thing I did was open that drawer, and my earrings were gone. There was a time, and it was before we had moved to the back of the room, and to the back of the house, there hadn't been that much, a whole lot of bad paranormal things, just obvious things, like the chandelier. But my mom had put my baby brother to bed upstairs to sleep for a nap. What possessed it, she did. And she heard him screaming hysterically as she ran up there. And he standing in his crib, she said he was shaking. And she said to him, what's the matter? And he said, Boogeyman say, I gonna get you. So she picks him up and goes to take him back down the stairway. She felt these two hands shove her from her back, and they went flying down the steps. Fortunately, nobody got hurt. But then there was another time she was in bed asleep, and my dad, I think this thing was mimicking my dad, because my dad can bring the roof down when he snores. And it got in bed with her and was snoring next to her. But it was getting pretty freaky to have to move to the back of the house. There's another thing I found really strange in that house is when you would go upstairs, walk to the end of the hallway, there was a closet, and you would open it up, and it was filled with cement. Which made me think, my God, is somebody buried in there?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned it getting in bed with her, and then you mentioned the closet that, mimics one of the encounters I'd spoke to somebody about. And it's weird how it always seems to be the closet, or, the bed. It tries to get in bed with you, or it's weird. It makes you wonder why, because I know somebody personally that was sick, that was in bed, and they said they felt somebody sit on the bed behind them, and when they rolled over and looked, then there was nobody there.
Right. Well, this thing you couldn't see either, and this is going to sound silly. Maybe it was just being a little kid. I knew what he looked like. I remember he wasn't very tall. He would probably be in his late 60s, and he always wore a white T-shirt. He had no pattern baldness and a big belly. I don't know, maybe that was just my imagination being a little kid, but I felt like I knew what he looked like. Yeah, like I said, things were getting dangerous, the fires, the choking, and the one thing that really freaks me out, you could say, it was just a little kid doing something stupid, but I don't know. I've always been afraid of heights. And my little friend, Tracy, who lived next door, she invited me over for a family night. I think they had popcorn and watched movies or something, but it was still early evening and still daylight. We were outside playing on her back porch. And you had to go up quite a few steps to get up on the back porch. And then on the back porch was like a brick wall. And I climbed up on this brick wall, and it's like something just came over me. I had to jump. I don't know why, but I had to jump. And between her house and mine, we're talking, there's a sidewalk, and then the old black wrought iron fence from my side of the house, which is still there. And then a little distance over in my yard was this clothesline, and it was these rusty wire clotheslines. And I still don't know how I could have jumped that high in the air and went that far over, but when I jumped, I went way above clotheslines, fell down in it. Now, if I would have hit the ground, I wouldn't have thought nothing of it. It's just, something stupid kids do. But when I got between those clotheslines, they somehow managed to crisscross right over my head and grab me by the neck. And I was bouncing up and down by my neck in this clothesline. My brother and his friend was outside, so they saw it, and they come running over. My mom come running out of the house, and these wires were so tight around my neck, they couldn't pull them apart to get my head out. And finally, a boy got on either side, and they're trying to pull them to where it's looser. And my mom got me by my legs and pulled me out of them, which ripped the meat right off my neck and chin. Right. And then Dad, the injury, they drugged me in the house and dumped alcohol on it.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I felt like I just couldn't stop myself from climbing up on that wall and jumping, and how I jumped that high in the air and that far over, I'll never know. But to go between those clotheslines, and then how did they crisscross over my head like that?
Right. It's almost like something was trying to choke you or
hang me.
Yeah, get rid of you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, did it bother anybody in the house more than it did anyone else? Did it seem like it was more fixated on anybody?
There's probably things that my mom didn't tell me about back then to keep from scaring me. I know, like I said, her and my grandma had both been choked, and she was thrown down steps. But then, just the way it terrified me all the time, I was really ready for like the psychiatric ward by the time we moved there. I was such a mess. I was terrified of everything. I wouldn't sleep at night unless I could cling to my mom's nightgown. I wouldn't go in the bathroom without her going with me. So I kind of felt like, it's pretty much me and my mom, but I don't know. Like I said, I got my grandma too and choked her.
Had that house ever burnt that you knew of before?
It burnt after the fact. I don't know about before, but it burned. Somebody told me it burned in the 80s after we had moved out.
That's interesting.
I was hoping it killed this thing, but you can't kill the dead. So yeah. I don't know where it could have went to. And that's always been a question of mine. When a house is haunted and it burns down, you can't kill the dead. Where do they go?
I think they probably just move on to another person or another place that has an opening, to where they can dwell. I've always wondered, why do they choose to stay, in a house? It's always been, why don't they like move on from place to place to place? Why do they pick one place? But some people, they say that it follows them wherever they go to. They can go from place to place, and whatever it is, it follows them.
I've heard that. Yeah, I have. There's a lady that tells a really good story. She's got a book out. Gosh, I wish I could remember her name. Linda Moulton, I think. And she lived in a house, probably even worse than that. And they were stuck living there for a long time.
I don't know that I could do that. Did it ever try to communicate with you guys, like talk to you, or?
Not to my knowledge, no. Now, had I been older, I might have tried to see what it wanted and what it was. Had to be a demon. My dad swears up and down that it was some grumpy old man that lives there, and he was grumpy in his life and he's grumpy in the next. But
right.
I don't know. I can't see the choking, throwing down the stairs. The fire is like it was trying to kill us.
Yeah, it sounds like it didn't take it long to get physical with you all either. It's like it was already worked up whenever y'all got there. If it was, because a lot of these, they pick up over time. It'll start out with small things and then get worse and worse and worse. That's
right. We were only there 6 months before we just couldn't take it anymore. It was time to go.
Do you know if there was any dark history behind that house or anything?
I don't, but I would like to check into that now. I've been thinking about maybe going to the Historical Society or at least the library. I do want to call the fire department, because I was told when that house burnt, they could hear a lady screaming, but they could never find anybody in it.
It's almost it's weird. It's almost like whenever you all saw the fire, it's like it was kind of like foreshadowing what was going to happen. Like it already knew that house was going to burn.
Maybe. I didn't think of it that way. Unless somebody may have lived there at the time. I don't know. It was a bad area. They could have got squatters into it too, and it wanted them out. Maybe the fire got out of control and took the whole house down. I don't know. But that's a good possibility. But yeah, it can definitely read your mind and act on your worst fear. I think when it really came to an end, we were up all night with a bad night, like, we had been in the past, and I had to move. That's all there was to it. I didn't care where I went, but I had to move. But my mom and I was talking about as I'm getting ready to leave for school, I could have slapped her. I was so mad. She yelled, "I am not leaving the house until the furniture's turned upside down." Like, Mom, why did you say that?
Yeah.
I go on school, and when I got out, I started walking back, and the house only like, I don't know, 6 or 8 houses down the block. I could see her sitting on the porch, and she never sat on the, like, yep, I knew it. And I walk up on the porch, and she opened the door and jokingly said, "Did you do this?" And the swivel rocker was flipped upside down on the floor. Oh, God. Well, it's time to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when we tempt them, they try to prove that they are worthy of doing these things. They're, whenever, see how I can tell you this story, because I know that they wouldn't want me to use their name. I know a lady that was having issues in a home, and her son, they had a lot of things that would happen. They seen a man standing in the bathroom. Uh, the son was, I guess you would call it attacked. He woke up with like baby handprints. It looked like he got slapped all night long by a baby. And she ended up moving. And she moved pretty far away, probably 30, 40 miles. And she was outside one day. She loves to work in the garden. And she had a 2-story house that she had bought. And she felt like something was watching her, And she said, "I just had this feeling when I was in the garden that something was watching me." And she was living alone at this time. And so she went into the home, and I guess she done what she had to do, and she went upstairs to get ready to go to bed. And whenever she went upstairs to get ready to go to bed, she always makes her bed in the morning when she gets up, and she noticed that her bed, like on her side where she slept, was pulled back. And like on the bed was an imprint where it looked like somebody had sit down on the bed and had looked out that window and was watching her. And yeah, there was a lot of things that happened to her that were really, really bad. And one of the items at their old home that gave them problem was a teddy bear. And this particular teddy bear was found at a dump site and then brought home. And it was like waving at my cousin. It would walk around on top of his dresser. He was totally terrified of that teddy bear. But I think they had trouble there before the teddy bear had came. But I think the teddy bear just added to it, because the old man standing in the bathroom, I actually saw that. Glasses of water. You could set a glass of water on the table, and it would like slide across the table, like the chair would creak. The old wooden chairs, like at a kitchen table. They would creak, and then like the glass of water would like slide across the top of the table, and it was like somebody sat down and moved the water.
Yes.
They had a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they will definitely get your attention.
It got mine, because I tried to stay all night there, and I ended up going home during the middle of the night. That was not. It was too much for me. I was just a kid, but I remember, just it was scary, and you see shadows that ain't supposed to be there, and when the shadows start looking like humans, and they're moving around, and there's no human in there to cast that shadow. And yeah, It was too much for me. I'll admit it. I went home. I called my mama. I said, "Mama, come and get me. I'm scared."
Oh, yes. Or you're going to walk home, huh?
You, you know,
Yeah.
it's funny because I'll go out and do these cryptid investigations and stuff, and go to these scary spots and stuff. But I will never go to that property again. I just do not. I just have a bad feeling. It's a feeling that I've had for years, and it's just a feeling that better left alone. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just it's somewhere that I don't want to go. When I done the Girl Scout murders, I don't know if you'd seen that where I investigated that.
I don't.
I had opportunity to go to the camp and go in there, but I didn't do it because really, what would be gained from it? Really, nothing. You're not going to gain nothing from it. I mean, there's no evidence there now. It's all grown up, and all it's going to do is, I think, hurt the family. I've had mixed emotions about going there. Part of me wants to, a part of me don't. I don't know, because I think that stuff can follow us home.
Well, you don't know if these things are going to attach to you and you're going to take them home. And then you could be in a battle for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
And my thing is, if they do attach to you and you can't get rid of it, when you die, what happens to your soul? Do they take it?
I think whenever we die, this is just my opinion. I think that whenever we die, that we're to be absent from the bodies to be present with the Lord. I believe that there is a judgment that will come. Now, some people believe, and I don't know if I believe this, but some people believe this, and it seems plausible that somebody that wasn't saved, that whenever say they pass away, that they sleep. They're in a sleep. That they don't necessarily go to heaven. They're not in hell. They're asleep. And the Bible talks about that the dead will be judged, the dead. And sometimes I think that maybe they sleep until judgment day, until I don't know. It's because the Bible talks a lot about sleep. He said whenever Lazarus died and Jesus came back to raise him from the dead, Jesus's words were, he only sleeps. He didn't say he was dead. He said Lazarus only sleeps. So, I mean, I had one grandma that said that when she died, she believed in the verse to be absent from the bodies, to be present with the Lord. Then I had another grandma. They were both, went to church all the time. They did not miss church. That was the main thing. And my other grandma believed that when she died, that she was going to sleep until Jesus came. So she was buried in her nightgown. So, I mean, I think a lot of people, have a lot of different beliefs on that. I think, just me, I think when we pass that we're either going to be one place or the other. That's my belief, because too many times in the Bible people died and they spoke of how they couldn't wait to be with Christ, and they knew that whenever they passed away that they would be with Christ or they would see their son again. So I don't. It's a mystery. Too bad nobody's went there, could come back and tell us. That'd be a lot easier.
Well, you do have some people with I don't know if you call it near death experiences, because they talk about how they had no heartbeat and how they either went to hell or went to heaven, but found out it wasn't their time, so they were brought back.
Right.
So
yeah,
I don't know, but I'm obsessed with figuring out what this thing is.
Me, I believe that they're demons, familiar spirits. They feed on us, like you said. They could read your mind and your worst fears and everything. That is what they love to do. They love to scare you. They love to deceive you. They love to trick you, because one of the things we was told was to stay away from necromancy and not to speak to the dead, right? But if these demons can convince us that I'm your dad, I'm here with you, and and you talk to them, and anything they can do to get us to go against, the word of God is their goal. But also, man, I think tormenting us and hurting us and scaring us and stuff. Also, that they get some kind of I don't know, like a adrenaline rush out of it or something, or an enjoyment, to watch us to be afraid because I lived in a haunted house and I hated that place. I absolutely hated that house. I mean, God, I remember, when we first moved there, I was only like probably 15, 16. And I knew the first time that my mom and them told us, they was like, go pick your bedrooms. And of course, I got the bedroom that was furthest from my mom and dad's in the hallway. And I knew the moment I walked in that room, I was like, this room is haunted. I mean, I could feel it. I didn't like the room.
Yes.
I didn't want to be in that room. I had a basketball goal in there. I had my, it would have been back in what, the 90s. I had a, cassette player in there, and, all my music and stuff. And I didn't want to be in there. And at nighttime, I saw stuff crawling in my floor. And
Mm-hmm.
I had a lady walk out of the closet and lift my head up, and I thought it was a tooth fairy. And the next morning, the money wasn't there, and the tooth was still there. And I was like, yeah, we got a problem. Uh, you know, those things really bother me. That house was so bad. My mom would tell, me, my cousin too. Like we'd be at my granny's, and my granny only lived like half a mile away in the country, and we had a paved road. And my mom would be like, can you run home and grab such and such thing that they would forget? And I had a little 80 dirt bike motorcycle. My cousin would ride on the back. And I was like, yeah, man, we would go to that house. And it was like when you walked in, you were fine. And we would go in and get what we were supposed to get. But when we was leaving, you just want to run. And I remember, man, we would get out of that house as fast as we could and just fly out of there on that motorcycle. And you actually felt like you were being chased, even though there was,
Yes.
nothing there.
Now, when you encountered these spirits, and you were talking about how your bedroom felt different than the other rooms, was the air, did it feel like it was staticky and thick?
It felt real heavy and hard for me to breathe. Like, whenever you blush or something, or my ears and face would get hot in there a lot. Uh, I felt not like I was watched, but I felt kind of like if you, like when you were a kid and your mom told you, like, don't go play in, that man's yard. He doesn't like kids in his yard. But you cut across his yard anyways. You knew you wasn't supposed to be there. You felt unwelcomed. I felt like,
Uh-huh.
I wasn't supposed to be in there. And like going to the bathroom, walking past that room, I had little like weird things I would do. I would always make sure my bedroom door was shut because I didn't like walking past it with the door open. I don't know. It was just that room felt so evil. And then of course my bed was an old hospital bed that cranked up and down. The weird thing I'll tell you,
That accident taken place in that bedroom.
well, the weird thing about that bedroom is my mom and dad back when I was a kid, they kind of done to me what we talk about. They would tell me, go back to bed, because and I'd be like, Mom, I'm scared. There's something in there. There's nothing in there. Go back to bed. You got school tomorrow, and Mom and Dad are up, I think, watching like Arsenio Hall, and they would watch. There was another one they would watch. What was it? The Honeymooners. And I would always tell them, no, there's something, and we get in a big fight, and I'd end up having to go to bed. Well, as I got older, me and my dad used to build houses before he got his other job, and we were building a house, and this guy showed up that my dad knew, and I guess they had went to school together, and we were all taking a break sitting down there, and we was talking, and this guy's like, yeah, we live in that old brick house that you all used to live in, and my dad's like, oh yeah, and we're sitting there talking, and he's got a daughter named Amy, and she's about my age, and he said, yeah, my daughter would not sleep in that first bedroom to the left going down the hallway. She said there was a lady in a red nightgown in there that would bother her. And I looked right at my dad and I said, I told you guys there was something in there, because I had told him it was a woman in a red nightgown, but I thought it was a tooth fairy. But it wasn't the tooth fairy. It was Wyatt walked over and picked my head up, because I did have a tooth under my pillow. The only thing I can figure is familiar spirit. It was doing what I was expecting to happen, because I didn't freak out because I was waiting on the tooth fairy. If I wouldn't have believed in the tooth fairy, then it would have, probably caused me to have a coronary right there in the bed. But it was, it was, I just, those kind of things I don't like to deal with. You know, my dad was kind of sounds like your dad was. We lived in my grandma's house after she passed away for a short time, and she had these little, I don't know what you'd call them, kind of like wind chimes, but they go in the house and they had like little hummingbirds. It was like that hung with them, and you could be in the front room, there'd be no wind, and all of a sudden they'd all just start ringing. And I looked at my dad, and my dad's like, "Oh, it's okay, it's just Grandpa," and he would just watch TV. And I'm sitting there like, a cat stuck to the curtains. I'm like, no. 'Cause I don't know. Things like that really, really bother me. Um,
Yeah.
you talk about, and I'm talking more than you are, but I'll tell you one more. Then I got some questions for you. I can feel it so much that we was going to get a house one time. Me and my wife at the time, we was going to there was this house in the country. And man, we really, really wanted it because it was a two-story A-frame home, and it had a really nice barn and had a lot of land that it went with it when you rented it, and the rent was dirt cheap. Well, I think I know why it was cheap. Uh,
Right.
when we went to the house, we pulled in the driveway. Okay, so we pull in this driveway, and there's this old A-frame home, right? Two-story A-frame home, and it's not, it's an older home. It's weathered. Back behind it, down the driveway, is a huge red barn, and the barn doors are like fell off of it. And the first thought when we pulled in that driveway to me was, something's watching me from the barn, and I'm trying to get this out of my head. So the people had given us the key to go look at the house. So we opened the front door, and when we opened the front door, right straight ahead of the front door was the steps that led up to the two bedrooms. To the right was the front room, and then to the left was the kitchen. It was pretty simple, plan. You know, I didn't say nothing to my wife at the time about it, but she was like, "I'm not going up. I'm not going up the steps." I was like, "I'm not even going in the house." We had such a bad feeling at the same time that
Mm-hmm.
we never did go into the home. We opened the door and then we shut it and locked it and told them no, thank you. It was just, I feel like if we would have stayed there, honestly, something really bad would have happened.
Good possibility.
I felt totally unwelcome there, like, like, what are you doing in my house kind of feeling.
Mhm.
Mm. And you don't know what they're going to do to you either.
That's one of my fears, you hear scary things, like I got a friend of mine, he came home from work one night, he's a police officer, and uh, he's got his back hurts him sometimes, so they have a deep tub bathtub, and he was laying in the tub, he said, with hot water, relaxing his back, and he said something put its hand on top of his head and pushed him down under the water. And he said
Mm-hmm.
he thought it was his wife at first, was playing with him. And he said he grabbed the side of the tub, and pulled himself up and turned around, to, holler at her, get her, whatever. And there's nobody in there.
That's scary.
Yeah. That's the kind of things that just really, I don't know. I just don't like things I can't see. And then you wonder if you're like me, which I overthink a lot of things probably, but I start wondering, okay, there's something in here with me. Then my mind goes to, I wonder what it looks like. What
Right.
What is it?
Right. I don't think they're anything good, that's for sure. Like you were talking about, your dad or, your Aunt Bessie or whoever.
Right.
I don't think that's who they are.
No.
I've never heard of too many good ghost tellers.
No. No, I think eventually it turns sinister. It might be fun for a while, but eventually it will turn sinister and it'll turn bad. Uh,
Yeah.
but they will try anything that they can do. I had a dog I got rid of because I just felt that there was something inside of that dog, and
I remember you talking about that.
I gave it to the neighbor. So I mean,
Calm down, bud.
they begged for it forever, and I was like, that last time he was like, "Hey man, you want to get rid of that dog?" I was like, "You want that dog really?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "You can have him." And then the next day, he caught me when I came home from work. I pulled in. I was driving a patrol car. Then I pulled in. He's like, "Hey man, something wrong with that dog?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "I think we're gonna have to get rid of it. You want it back?" I was like, "Nope, don't want that dog."
Did he say what it did at his place?
Well, he said what it did at his house that was weird was, and all he really told me was, whenever nighttime would come, he said that dog would have a fit and it would want outside. So they would let the dog outside, and we lived right beside him. It was in a trailer park, and we had one like a 4-foot fence probably that ran between our two houses, chain link fence. And he said that dog would run to the corner of the chain link fence, stand up on its hind legs, and stare at our bedroom window, just stand there. And he said if they brought it in the house, it would look out the window, and it was always trying to watch us. And he said, "Man, that really weirded us out." And he said, "My dad came over, and my dad said, that dog is Diablo, the devil." So he said, we had to get rid of it. So they got rid of it. I don't know exactly what they done to it, but they said they had to get rid of it. So they might have gave it to a friend. I don't know.
I can remember an incident where, now I told you that closet door was cemented in, and with what brother was talking about made me wonder if maybe it wasn't a closet and an entrance to the third floor, which we never could find access to the third floor. So I thought it was just an old attic. Well, like I said, him and his buddy was pretty brave, so they went through a crawl space somehow to the third floor, which he told me was completely furnished. And he said that something chased them, and they had to run, and they ran in the kitchen and slammed the door and pushed the refrigerator in front of it. And then he handed me these 5 Barbie dolls that he got from up there. I still remember that. But yeah, he said it was furnished up there. They got chased up there. I don't know how they kept the thing out by pushing a refrigerator door or a refrigerator in front of the door, because they can just go right through walls, or just appear wherever they want. But yeah, I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, because we just done that interview with Latricia, and in her upstairs where she was having troubles, people had closed off that part of the upstairs too. That's kind of weird. I'm sorry, Jesse. Go ahead.
Did they ever say what kind of, if it was fully furnished, what kind of furniture it was? Like, was it old furniture or modern for the times, or?
Now, I don't know about what was up there. He never said, but I know when we moved in, the people had left their furniture. And I think that was a quick, I got to get out of here. I ain't messing with this. I'm going with the clothes on my back kind of thing. And of course, at the time, we never thought anything about that.
That also,
So
that reminds me, think about the story, Jesse, of the candles. That house, what all had happened. Remember, they left everything there also.
Yep, yeah. So the whole house was fully furnished when you moved in?
I don't recall anything being left in the bedrooms, but in some of the rooms, yeah, there was some really nice paintings. I could have killed my mom because she took one of them with her, which it did end up burning in a house fire that we had. But I thought about ordering her another one because I found one online. It was called the Laughing Cavalier, and I know it's a crazy thing. It probably wasn't doing this, but when you walk, it looked like its eyes was following you, and she took that out of there. But yeah, they left quite a bit of furniture and paintings on the wall, and I don't know what all. And it's like they were in a rush to get out of there, but we didn't realize that. That's probably why it was done then. And you never heard of these paranormal investigators. I mean, in 1973, they still had insane asylums, and we were forbidden to talk about it. It's not telling anybody because they'd probably all lock us up somewhere. But, yeah, freaky.
Yeah, we have a prison that wasn't too far from us. It was for the criminally insane. And they closed part of it. And it was really weird because the buildings are painted pink out of all colors. It's a prison, but the buildings are pink. And they still have the old metal wheelchairs, the old beds, and all that still left inside of those buildings. I've got an inside. That was Kaylee. I've got an inside. What do you call it? Friend that works there that I may be able to get access to it. So.
Oh, that would be fun. Is it a working facility or?
Half of it is. It's still half of it is still a working prison, and then the other half.
See, that would be nice. I need to do a boots on the ground some night with that.
Yeah, I would definitely probably want somebody with me there because he said that they still patrol it at night, because they have to check the buildings. And there was one of the guards that went through there, and a wheelchair went from one room to the other in front of me. Yeah, I think I would too. I'd be like, you can have it. I don't need it that bad. But I guess. I think they even have, from what I understand, the old electric shock machine and everything still in the room.
Oh, for shock treatment.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest type place.
Yes. I love that movie too. That was a good movie.
But so sad.
Yes. I thought he was going to escape. I did. I thought he was going to make it.
Yeah, it was sad.
It was. Not as good as Bone Tomahawk, though. That's what I was. Everybody.
Another thing that freaked me out when you were doing that boots on the ground and kept calling Jesse. Did you hear it too, Mike?
I didn't hear it, but I was told later that it was saying Jesse's name. I don't go back and watch very many of my videos. I don't like to watch myself for one, and but like my moderators, they will send me little clips and stuff when they find stuff because they go through it with a fine tooth comb, and they'll be like, "Did you hear this? Did you see that? Did you see this picture?" And then I've got another guy that he worked for an agency that that's actually what he done was observe photos and audio, and he goes through all my videos and then sends me his findings. So. Yeah, we've heard Jesse's name, my name, Sarah's name, I think mostly. We even thought we might have caught a partial conversation where one of them said, "Why did I have to die?" And it sounds like the other one laughs. So,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely some conversations, but we thought at first it may be demons, but then after we got to thinking about it, we got to thinking, what if these things are talking on higher and lower frequencies than what we can hear, and it's actually communication?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they say a lot of times you don't hear that until you play it back. And that thing called her a minimum of 3 times, and the way it sent chills up my spine. It said, "Jessie, Where are you? And it did that like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably Jerome. That's what I tease her. I tell her it's Jerome.
Not funny.
She gotta
Yeah, I
No,
always
I
tell her
don't.
it's Jerome.
He's gone.
go. He's not.
Yeah, she says he's gone now. Yeah, she had something that messed with her for a while, but she got rid of it.
That's what I mean about doing these
He's
kind of
outside now.
things, like investigations and stuff, and something can attach to you.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a let's see. I can't say his name, but I had an officer that worked for me. I was actually his boss for a little while, and he's very well known right now. Like really big, and he does
About
spiritual.
that, I won't repeat it.
Yeah, he does spiritual investigations, and
Yeah.
he was a very Christian kid. Me and him got along really good. I was his supervisor for about 4 years, and he got into that when he was working for me. And after a while, he started questioning the Bible, and probably a year after that, he became atheist, and he started collecting haunted memorabilia, putting it in his house. And he had a wife and a child at the time, and I told him it wasn't a smart idea. And he had a Ouija board that was used in some seances, and they gave it to him because they didn't want it no more, and he kept it. And he was walking through his front room one day, and he passed out and fell, and he had to have emergency surgery. His colon had a rupture in it, and he almost died from sepsis. And then he had a heart attack, and he's younger than me. And last time I knew, he was feeling better, but he just does not look the same. It really, since he got into that, I think he went too far.
Did he get back out of it, hopefully?
No, he's still doing it. He's still very well known. He has a huge team. They actually get access to a lot of museums and places that other people can't. I mean, he's very well known.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know who you mean.
Yeah, he
Mm-hmm.
he looks bad now though. That I don't like to mess with that stuff at all.
Yeah, you never know what's in it.
Right. Well, Vicky, I don't have any more questions for you unless Jesse does.
Um. Well, I know. I kind of do. I know that there was okay. So I had to look. Was this house something more well known in the Dayton, Ohio area?
I don't believe so. I never
Okay.
really heard anyone talking about it. It's like, well, we were on vacation once, and when we got back home, the neighbors called the police because they said somebody was in our house playing the piano and they knew that we had left. And he said, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just their ghost." So maybe it had been known. I just didn't know it.
Wow.
And did somebody move into the house right away after you guys moved out? Do you know?
There was a lawyer that wanted to buy it. He said, and this is what made us think that he knew it was haunted, was because he said it used to be his aunt's house.
Oh wow.
So we did sell it. And if it was his aunt's house, then he had to know what was going on in there. If it was even going on in there when she had it, I don't know.
Almost makes you wonder if he knew it was haunted, if he bought it and burned it to get rid of it.
Huh, it's possible.
Speculation. I'm just speculating. I don't want nobody.
Right.
Well, and the reason why I asked
I'm
if it
not
was
accusing anybody of arson.
the reason why I asked if it was kind of a well-known house is because when you were telling the story, it kind of reminded me of the Summerwind Mansion that we had here in Wisconsin. It actually burned down in 1988, and it was extremely, um, from all of the stories, it was extremely haunted, and there was a lot of really strange things, kind of like what you were talking about with the fires burning, and yet there was no smoke or like scorch marks or anything like that. Um, but it ended up burning down in 1988, and it's private property now, or it's like all closed off. People aren't supposed to be going out there because it's ruins, and that's kind of why I was wondering if it was a more well-known
Was
home.
that the house that the family moved in, and there was an organ that the dad was obsessively playing all night long, and I think the
Yes,
family ended up living there.
yes,
I'm sorry.
yes.
Wow.
That's yep.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, I'd have left him
Yeah.
there too. You know what?
Sorry.
I would have left him there too. You know,
Oh yeah.
there's a movie. I can't remember the name of it. Now that y'all are talking about that, where is it Costner's in it, or the new daughter or something? I think that's the name of it. The new daughter, where he moves into that house and the piano and the little boy was playing the piano or something. And he found that gun in the piano and uh, some kind of a ghost or something that lived in a mound that was out behind their property had mimicked their daughter or something, and it really wasn't his daughter, and he had to go rescue her. It was a really good movie. It almost reminded me
Oh
of a
yeah.
what are they called, a doppelganger or something like that.
Yes, your evil twin. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good movie if you get a chance to watch it. I think it's called The New Daughter or something like that.
Yep, The New Daughter with Kevin
Oh,
Costner.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's really
Rural
freaky.
rural South Carolina home with his teenage daughter Louisa.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good movie. Well, Vicky, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask Jess which movie that was that she was talking about just now.
The New
Maybe I
Daughter.
misunderstood. A bit of an echo.
The New Daughter.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll look that one up too.
That's a good movie. It is. Well, Vicky, I don't have any more questions for you, and I've had you on almost an hour, and I'm sure you've got other things that you need to do tonight too. And I sure appreciate you though coming on and sharing your story with me in the encounter. I'm glad it's not happening to you no more because I know how that can make you feel. It makes you. It's terrifying.
It is, and it's a fear unlike any fear you've ever felt in your life.
Yes, I agree. That's the way I felt. It was terrifying to me. I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was great to talk to you guys.
Oh, I enjoyed it. It was our pleasure to have you.
Yes.
Just I don't think people realize how many people actually go through these things, and there's probably 10 times more people out there that just don't talk about it because, like what you said, the scrutiny and people
Uh-huh.
people make fun of you and attack you, and we was always told as kids, now don't go telling people what goes on down here. They'll think we're crazy and they'll lock us up in the loony bin.
Right. That's we were forbidden to ever talk about it. Right.
Yes. All right, Vicky. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And I'll drop this if you want to view it. It'll be what I say, April 10th.
Yes.
All righty.
Yeah, April 10th. It will come out April 10th as a live, so you'll be able to watch it.
All righty. Well, thanks. And like I said, it was nice talking to you guys.
It was nice talking to you too. You
Thank
have a
you,
blessed
Vicki.
night.
Have a great night.
Yes, and we
Yes.
appreciate you so much and your support.
Oh yeah, I love my abnormal family. That's for sure.
All right. Well, thank you, and you have a great night, and God bless you and your family.
God bless you too. Bye bye.
Right. Good night. We have a big lag tonight. I don't know why.
Yep. Yep. I blame you.
It doesn't seem like me and you have a lag, though. That's what's weird. It's like you were catching her conversation a lot later than what you catch mine. And I don't know why, though, because the phone's just laying right here. It's kind of weird.
I don't know. Technical
It's probably your fault.
difficulties. I already blamed you. You can't blame me now.
Yeah, it's your fault. But she was an amazing guest. I was glad to have her on here as always, guys. It takes a lot of strength for these people to come forward and to share their encounters. And if anybody else out there has an encounter they would like to share, you can email me abnormalinvestigations77@gmail.com or reach me on my messenger at Stephen Michael. We'd love to hear from you. And even if you don't want to come on the show and we can just help you with something you're going through, reach out to us. It's not just about putting you on a video. If we can help you, we'd love to help you. It's not just about, making the videos. If we can make a difference or help you in any way, that's part of what we're doing this for also. Jesse, if you'd
Yeah.
like, you can walk us out of this one.
I just wanted to add to that yeah, that is the case because just got a message today from somebody that I spoke with you about, and it's not something that we're talking about. So, yeah, this is not something that we would need to publicize, or if you wanted to come on anonymously, you can. But that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you. And like always, without you, we wouldn't be here to be able to give you the information. And so we thank you. I thank you. We all thank you from the bottom of our hearts. God bless. Please stay healthy as best you can in these times, um, and safe. And hope to see you guys again soon.
Guys, I appreciate your support and everybody showing up and listening, and the support that you give to our guests that come on. I see it in the comments how everybody is so nice and how y'all reach out and offer help and words of encouragement and prayers. It means a lot to us, and I know it means a lot to our guests that come on the show. We're all, an abnormal family here, and we all look out after each other, and that means a lot to me. But guys, I want to thank you all for showing up tonight. Hunter, I love you. I miss you so much. I think about you each and every day, buddy. I'm doing everything I can. And until next time, guys, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner, and we'll see you on the next one.
Good night.